This is a live stream. I had somebody ask questions. Vicki asked questions about how to go about saving some faces. So I am here to show her how to do that and trying to get the computer to do what I want it to do. And it is resuming and it's not going to let me start over. All right, so this is my inspiration book. These are faces that I have saved and collected. I probably will never do anything with. I'm hoping to maybe draw some of these features and incorporate them into my new series. Hi, Aunt Sandra. So these are faces that I absolutely love, and I've collected to save forever and ever, and I probably will never do anything with them, but they inspire me to do things with other faces. So I like to keep them just so I can look at them, and I absolutely love that one. That is just the way the page came out of the magazine. When I save faces for magazines, or for when I save faces out of magazines, I rip out the whole page usually, which means I usually rip the page. You can pull out a page from the glue binding, which is better. It looks nicer, and you get more of the face if it's near the edge. But I like to rip out the whole entire page, and I will show some of those in a sec. But these are just my inspiration ones. They are some of my favorite faces ever. I'm afraid to use some of them because I probably wouldn't be able to replace them. But so this is just a collection that I hope to save forever. And I've got other kinds of faces in here too that I'm hoping to use, and I'm thinking about putting in faces. So so I save everything. Save everything. When it comes to saving bits and pieces, this is a folder that I haven't done anything with yet. And since I'm doing many different sizes right now at the moment, I started the itty bitty little one, and I haven't done much with it. And I also have this size that I'm working with. And the reason I'm going a little bit smaller than I have in the past, my series 1 and series 2 are done on 8.5 by 11 paper. It's hard to find a lot of faces that are this large. So your options are not as I have scanned a little bit of them, but you know, they are copyright. They have a copyright on them. I really can't. I don't like to scan. I mean, I have done it, but I don't know. I feel like a bad person when I try to do that. So I don't. I usually try to collect faces and use what I have collected. I don't know what it is. It's just one of those things. I'll get over it eventually. So I have had a hard time finding large. You don't find as many. You get one magazine and you might have 1 or 2 large faces in it. But so I am going smaller just so I have lots and lots of options. So as I'm collecting pages, and like I said, I rip out the entire page. If there's a face and any size at all, I save it. And I kind of look on both sides because usually there's a face on the other side too. So I have to decide which one I want to keep. So these are some of the pages that I've ripped out and haven't really done anything with yet. And a lot of them are really small, so I can put them in my little book. And they're easier to find. I've got lots more of them, so I have lots more options. I will save any face that I like the looks of. I save faces that I really don't like the looks of because there's one eye that I might be, I might use. Measurements for this little tiny one. Where's my ruler? This is actually a Good Seasons Italian Good Seasons dressing box that I've put some white paint on. I probably will cover and just used rubber bands for this. Just this is 5 inches by 3 1/4. So it's kind of long. I'm noticing as I put things in there that it could be a little shorter. It doesn't really matter what size it is. The other one is a 6 by 6. I was thinking about doing scrapbook paper for this, but I ended up buying some cheap paper and just using ink pads to color it. 6 inches by 6 inches is the page size. And I'm finding that that is a pretty good size for the larger faces, and I can put smaller faces on top. So I'm finding that that's starting to be a very good size. I like the 6 by 6. I can put not only the large pictures, I don't even know where that one was, the larger pictures, but I can put smaller ones too. So I am not locked into a certain size. I can just arrange all kinds of stuff. You could do a bigger book, like make a magazine, like make a rubber band book, like our art experiment book. This one is just 11 by 8 1/2 paper. It's just copy paper folded in half. So this would be a great size just to put some faces in. You could use any kind of paper that you wanted to. You could use cardstock, but the regular size of a paper might be nice. So this is, well, this actually came out of a book, so it's not quite 8 1/2, but it's a good size to work with. You might, it just depends on what you want to do size-wise and how versatile you want that book to be. So, so these are the faces that I'm saving now, and I save. They don't have to be looking straight ahead. I like them when they're looking to the side. You started doing the faces. The faces are addictive. This is a picture of Turkey that I found out of a travel magazine. It was about an article about one of the women who founded something, and that was a picture of her. So I might use that and make her funny. I love large pictures, and I will save large eyes. I love large eyes. If I can find them, I will save every single one of them. And eyes that are sideways, love those too. You don't find them very much. So I save every size I can get. This one is too big. I will not be able to use it in this book unless I cut it down, which, I mean, I would hate to waste that really cool eye. So these are this actually came out of a Sports Illustrated. So the paper is really thin and not really good, but look at that face. The things I can do with this face. And I save little bits of everything. Here's a big one. So you can see size doesn't matter. I save black and whites. I save all kinds of everything. If it's got, even if it's got words, I save these too because I can cut around those words and use those features. So if and sometimes that makes the faces more interesting. Maybelline has wonderful, wonderful advertisements, and I love these little bits of them showing how to put on their makeups and stuff. Here's a dog. I'm thinking about doing a dog. So this is just me collecting the pages and putting them in this folder. I mean, I saved some tiny ones too. I saved everything, every size imaginable. It doesn't matter. If there's a face on the page, I'm saving it. And for something like this, I would use these two eyes as well. I might use both these eyes on the same face, and I'll save that and show you what I'm talking about. So black and white, different sizes. This is the kinds of stuff. I save everything. The more you have, the more options you have when you're starting to put faces together. Not every eye goes with every face. You'll find that sometimes something else looks better, and I've got a ton of them in here that I haven't done anything with yet. So we could go on and on and on. I mean, I love the makeup ones. They always have some great eyes and some stuff. So this is what they look like before I do anything with them. As just pages. I actually threw some in here that I had cut. So, and here's a face that I'm thinking about just doing something with. So this is the basic pull out pages and save everything kind of thing that I do. You know, I save everything, even the small little ones. And I love these. I have not seen all of the dark side or the light side girls yet. I'm still looking for them. Okay, so once I get a ton of magazine pictures out, then I go to the next step. The next step is deciding if you want to use the face as a base or you want to use just the eyes or just the mouth, or you have to decide if you're going to put stuff on top of it or if you're going to use those faces as a base. It's easier to use faces to start with a base when you're starting out. And I'm going to show you the flip book one more time, just because these are very, very simple faces. And I want to show you how simple they actually are. One more thing. When you're choosing your pictures, choose pictures for a base, like some of these would be. And then when you decide that you're going to use stuff for just the eyes or something, have a place to put eyes and mouth so you know where your options are, just for future reference. So, and the reason I grabbed that is so I could show you. This is the first face, and it's just a base, something like this. And it's just a pair of eyes put on top. So say this is my base. Here's a strip of eyes, and all I've done is put that strip of eyes over that face, and that is all that is. That's as simple as it gets. So is everything okay with the chat? Are we okay? So chat's slow today, or is it lagging really bad? Are we up to speed here so far? So I'm just gonna, it must be slow today. All right. So here's a face, this one here, that I did absolutely nothing to. It's just a face cut in half. So if I were to play around with that face, I would get my little bin out here with all my good stuff in it and start looking around at my little face parts. And I could start to add some eyes and see if I like the looks of that. I can add, where's the, oh, here they are. I don't have much space here. And for something like this, I probably would use this as a base face because it's kind of simple, but it's nice and big. But these guys obviously would have to be used as pieces. So I would cut those out. And I might cut them out together, or I'm probably going to have to separate them because there's a dark spot in the middle. But these are both the same eye. They're both lefts, they're both rights, I don't know. They're both the same eye. They're just showing before and after, or with and without is what it says. So you can use this strip, you know, and have both eyes going that way. I don't like the words there, so I'm going to cut it down a little bit to the shape that I want it without the words. I'm going to do it that way. And it might be a little strange, so I'm going to have to kind of round out this side too because it looks weird. And I'll copy that. So now I've got these two eyes that I can play around with. I won't necessarily have to put them together, but you can. You can use both these eyes in a face and put them close together, and that would work. You can turn them upside down. But the thing of it is decide if you've got, you know, your bases, get some bases out there, and then find some bits and pieces and gather bits and pieces so that you can start seeing what works and what doesn't work. You need to make sure, well, I mean, if you have a bunch of base faces, you can always cut those up for pieces, but it's really hard to cut pieces, you know, to make pieces into a whole face. So this is a bad example. I might want to add a mouth or something to that, but she's pretty much kind of done. That would be kind of cool on that. So it's just a matter of playing and seeing what you like and making a funny face with it. And then gluing it down when you see something that you like. Now that might be fun. It might be fun to make her eye kind of go to the center since it's so large. You just play around with stuff. This face, all I did to that was put a single eye on it. It's just a base face with an eye. That's as simple as it is. For this one, yeah, I cut these in half. I made the faces first, and I wanted to make a flip book. I wanted this one to be a flip book. So I made the faces all first, and then I cut them in half, and then I sewed them in the book. When I started doing this book, I wanted to make the eyes on the top 3 inches. This is also 6 by 6. And I wanted all the noses and mouths on the bottom. There are a couple of them here that I messed up on, and there's some noses up in the eyes, and it looks funny. So I'm going to have to fix those. But this is an example of just a simple face that I just added an eye to, and you can, do all kinds of interesting things. You can add a mouth to it. So it's the options that you really want. You want as many different faces as you can get, hundreds, because you're never going to know if you're going to want small eyes or large eyes. The trick to putting the faces together, and the reason I wanted to show the flip book is because they are, this one I haven't done anything to. It's just a base face. If I wanted to add eyes to it, I could add eyes. The trick is to get the top feature to hide the bottom feature. Now that would work. You don't see the eyes underneath. It covers up her glasses, makes her look a little freaky, but you don't see her eyes underneath, so it looks like it could be correct. And then you can add a little mouth, but like I said, the strip has to be big enough to cover the bottom feature. This will not work. It doesn't look right because you can see that mouth underneath it. But if you got something like this, well, that's still too small because I can't cover up her nose and her mouth. So what else do I have? I can use half. If the mouth was to line up correctly, I could do that. And that's a funny looking, weird face. So it's just a matter of playing around, and if you don't like it, try something else. Try something else. Here's another nose that you could put there. It doesn't really look right because the lips are, it looks off. But the more options you have, the more things that you have to try, the more likely you are going to like something eventually. Size matters. You want large eyes on small faces, small eyes on large faces. When you're cutting strips of faces, especially small ones, you want to keep your strips pretty wide, so you do have options to cover up the bottom features. Try to keep them as wide as possible. You can always cut them down after if they're too wide, but if they're not wide enough, you won't be able to use them. So those would work. Just like, in a way, they would work because they're wide enough to cover the bottom feature. So that's my suggestion, is to pull out as many faces as you can find, different kinds of faces. You want faces that are looking in different directions. You want faces that are looking down. The more you have, the more likely you're going to find something that you really like. So here are 2 faces that I did absolutely nothing to. Absolutely nothing. So again, I can start playing around with stuff. And hair does not matter either. Now that's kind of interesting. I'd kind of want to cut off that ragged edge right there. But the bottom mouth is all covered, it's different. It's she looks a little strange with her earrings hanging off her face like that. But that's what makes these faces so much fun. So, and this one, you know, you can add eyes as well. That one's a little large. I like to use strips of eyes on things. Those are too normal. Here's eyes that are looking in a different direction, but they're too small because I can't cover up the bottom. Black and white will go with color pictures, and it doesn't matter if the eyes are looking in the same direction. It's a little more weird if they're looking in opposite directions. You have to, you know, it depends on how weird you want to get. You can put it, you know, you can put them closer together and really make them strange. You could cut that little bit off here, this little bit, to make them really close together. And or you can make them more wide apart. Depends on what you like. I kind of like this. I'm thinking about gluing that down. Since I didn't do anything to her, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and glue it down because I won't remember where that was supposed to go. Where's my glue magazine? I like that. So I am going to glue it down. I should fix the other faces in here too that are messing me up. And you can tilt it too. As long as that bottom feature is covered, you can do anything. I like it straight because her earrings are hanging off her face in a funny way. So that's how she's going to look for the rest of her life. Poor thing. She kind of needs some more eyes too. The other thing, oh, here's a sideways eye. I love the sideways eyes. Isn't she funny looking now? Hi, Judy. Ouch. Did I say hi, Jessica? Hi, Rosemary. Sorry, I've been yapping. I'm not paying attention here. So this is just one of those, you can spend hours doing this. Hours, and I have spent hours playing around with doing stuff like this. As long as those bottom features are covered, it looks right. So you could start playing around with other things. So here's another simple one. All of these in this book, and that's the reason that are you planning on making a flip book like this, Vicki? This is another simple, it's just one single face with a strip of eyes put on top, but it's an interesting face. So what I would suggest, this book was a really good size. This is a 6x6. And what I did is I took scrapbook paper, 12 by 12 scrapbook paper, and I actually used, it's raised, it's embossed. I can't see it. Do I have it? This is what I used. They're embossed. So they've got they're raised a little bit. You don't have to do that. It kind of distracts from the face when you've got a design coming up from underneath it. But I just used cardstock, scrapbook paper, and I cut it in half. So that would give me two 6-inch by 12-inch pages, basically. And then I did fold the pages so I knew where the faces were going to go. Then I had these pages, and I don't even have any to show you that are not cut. But what I would do is take 6 by 12 pages that are folded, and I would start putting faces on those pages. Just play around with all those faces. What I did was I made sure the eyes were in the first, on the top 3 inches, and the nose and the mouth was in the bottom 3 inches. So as I flip it around, they look like they could be all right. You don't want 2 noses on them, and I have one in here that's really bad and has more than 1 nose that I do have to fix. But it makes the book look right if you've got eyes on top and the bottom half of the face on the bottom. Cut the 12 by 6 pages, and then fold that in half so that you've got, let me, where did I put that? Let me cut one and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I've taken my piece of paper. Well, I've taken a few pieces of paper out of here. Oops, sorry. Then I take that one piece of paper and I cut it in half so that I have 2 pages. So this would be a page. And you can see that it's embossed. I wouldn't recommend using that kind of paper, but it's a cardstock, so it's fairly sturdy, so that you can play around with it. And when you flip in the pages back and forth, it's sturdy enough to be able to do that with. So you've got this page, and I would fold that in half carefully so that it's right, and get your bone folder out so that it's creased correctly. And I would do that with all your pages. Okay, why can't I fold it? And you don't necessarily have to put signatures together. You can work on them singly. But what I would do is use this and start putting faces on that. Start making your faces. So you've got your pages, and some of these are really good base faces. And I think I even used that one. I might not have. I'd put that base face on there. I would glue it on, and then start putting stuff on top of that. Now I'm going to make sure that my eyes are within the top 3 inches. And I think, where's my ruler? I think that comes down. Here's a quilting ruler that's exactly 3 inches. I think this is what I used. It's a quilting ruler that's so that you can use a rotary cutter. And so I would make sure that those eyes were up in the top 3 inches. Sorry, that's my phone. I don't know if I'm going to get a call or not. So I want to have it handy so I don't have to run off and get it. So I mean, and that's a cute little face right there. I would make sure her eyes are up there, and I would put some kind of mouth on her. It's too normal. You can make a big mouth on her. Whatever you want. And I would go about and just make the faces first. After you make this one, you know, flip it over, make another one on the other side, see what you got, do whatever. Make sure that the eyes are on the top and nose and mouth are on the bottom. And then when you get as many as you want together, then you start cutting them in half. That's how I made that flip book. I did all the faces first, the basic faces. I would like to go through and fix some of them. Her nose is too high, so I need to cover that with something. I don't know where the other part of that face is, but I have to fix that. Anyway, but that's what I would do is, if that's you make the faces first. Get practiced on making the faces. Make sure that you like the faces, and then when you get a good collection, then cut them. I cut all mine in half, these pages, after I had all 4 faces on them, and then I sewed the top half in, and then I sewed the bottom half in. It's a little tricky, you know, with everything moving against each other. It's not as easy as it would just to sew signatures in, but it's a lot easier to cut them when they're not in a book. So that is my suggestion for making some faces, basic faces. You don't necessarily have to make a flip book. Get some base faces out and choose just some eyes and stuff and start playing around with making interesting, fun faces. You can use strips of eyes. You can use cutout eyes, and that's not the same eye. I'm all messed up and don't have all kinds of stuff. But you can cut out, where are those ones that I was using earlier? I lost the other one. So you could use the same eye, but that doesn't look really, really good. You can put one upside down and put them kind of close together, because that kind of, sorry, I'm sticking to everything here. That looks kind of interesting. I kind of like that. You can put the eyes upside down. I wish I had a pair of eyes that I could play with. I did at one point. Here's an interesting one to put just a single eye on. It looks weird. I kind of like that. Yeah, make the faces first and then worry about cutting them in half. If that's the flip book, that's a, you know, I would practice making faces first before thinking about flip book. It's not that hard to do, but making the faces is the fun part for me. The flip book, you know, was great, but I like making the faces. I like putting faces together and playing around, putting eyes upside down. It makes them look kind of strange and interesting. Here's some Mona Lisa eyes. Yeah, I have a group on Facebook. It's Art Experiments. Anybody can join. It's for all kinds of stuff, experiments with art and having fun and playing. Someplace to show. Am I out of focus here? I'm having trouble with the camera. It doesn't seem to want to be good, and I don't understand. It used to be really good. So that is my suggestion. If you want to do 6x6 is a really good size. The faces, that kind of size is easy to find, and you can find smaller bits and larger bits, and it is a good medium size to play around with. So that's what I would do, is get some base faces, decide what you're going to do, and then start putting stuff together. I have tons and tons. This is where I throw my faces. I have got faces to last me forever. And I just throw them in here until, and then I spend a day cutting things out, deciding what I'm going to use for bases, what I want to use for just eyes or a mouth or something. Yeah, I've got lots of work ahead of me. It takes a long time to get them out of the magazines, and then it takes a long time to sort them out to what you want to use them for. And then I put bits and pieces in these little trays. You can use just about anything. I like to use some kind of tray or something so I can try to see what I have for different kinds of options. I like the makeup pictures. Hi, Judy. You have pages and pages of notes. Oh, dear. I do talk a lot, don't I? I like the magazine, the advertisements. I will be putting this eye on something. I don't know what. Can you see it? It's all flashed out. But it is, it's just one of those, what do you call it? Just drawn. I'll have to cut it out so that little brush thing is out of the way, but I'm hoping my third series will incorporate more cartoon kind of eyes, drawn eyes, other kinds of eyes, and stuff like that. So I'm broadening my, here's the that other eye. I'm broadening the types of eyes that I use. You can use anything. I love this kind of eye. Did I have another one of that one? Even with this little tray, I still can't find anything, can I? Here's a makeup ad that I'm hoping to use. It'll look good on something. I don't see the other one. I don't see the other one. There it is. I like this kind of eye to use. They're, because you can do just about anything with them. When I cut around, I leave just a little bit of skin. I make sure that there's plenty of room around their eyelashes. You don't want to cut off their eyelashes because that looks really weird. But for eyes like this, and you can use, they don't have to be this big. You can use smaller eyes as well, like this. But I like to put them in weird places like that. You can put them up and down so that they look really mean or scary, or you can put them sideways down so they look kind of sad, or you can put them upside down because that looks a little odd. It's just a matter of playing around with stuff. And just to give everybody some more ideas, we'll flip through this one. This is my series 2, And this is more abstract, different ways to put faces together using strips and squares and stuff, not necessarily using a base face. When you get a ton of pieces together, you can start putting the faces together kind of like this. This one is kind of like a base face with the stuff put on top of it. This is just a nose with a mouth put underneath and two eyes put on top. So there wasn't like a whole face underneath. You can also do it that way. So, you know, when you're picking out your magazine pictures, keep in mind that you may want to use the whole face. You may just want to use the top half of the face, cut it all up, and use it for parts. You're using the face parts. Here's one of those with the eyes. And she reminds me of a mean Muppet or something. And this one, this is the bottom. It's like a base face where I added two eyes and a nose. So I didn't use the whole face. Her head was kind of cut off. It might have been, I might have used something on the other side of that page and just used that. This one, it's a strip of eyes. So when I cut it out, I cut out this strip and then this strip so that I had this long strip. And then I put them together really close to make that and put a nose and mouth on the top of that. So you don't, there's so many different options with this. You can do anything. It's easier when you're starting out to have a base face and to add things to it. And then you can get a better eye for what you're looking for and start doing parts of faces. This is a strip of a nose and a mouth that I just added two eyes to and put a mouth on top of. So it doesn't have to be the whole face. Just, keep your options open. Keep thinking about different ways to use these parts. Like this face, I wouldn't be able to use the whole face because it's not there. I'm going to have to cut this off, and obviously the tear, I'm going to have to cut that off as well, and the words. So I'm going to be left with this little bit of face here that will work very, very well for something, and I can add eyes on top of that and, do whatever. So it doesn't have to be a whole face. Any part of face, save anything, everything. Save everything. You want everything. Be greedy. Every size, everything. It doesn't matter. You want black and white. You want color. Here's another. This is just a part of a face that I put stuff on top of. So it's a matter of playing around with stuff until you find something that makes you smile, basically. This one reminds me of Madonna. I don't know why. There's no parts here that are Madonna. It just reminds me of Madonna. And here's just a mouth. And, I didn't even overlap the nose. Those strips are separate. And I overlapped two different eyes. Those two eyes don't even belong together. So it's just a matter of playing around until you see something. You're putting your pieces in envelopes. You might want to try a box top. You're going to need, when you're collecting your stuff, that's fine, putting things in envelopes. But when you're putting faces together, you're going to want to see your bits. You want to spread them out. When I do my faces, or when I did these faces, I would have a whole tabletop covered with faces, and the floor all around me with little bits of eyes, and so I could see stuff. You want to see it so that you can, play around and see different stuff on there before you make up your mind. There's so many different ways to go with each thing. I mean, that would look great on there. And it's really sometimes a hard choice to decide what you want to keep and what you want to do. You can do anything. You can anything, absolutely anything. So you're going to need a paper box top that's kind of shallow. If you had something like that, you can actually move it. I remember doing these and having a sea of, eyes on the floor and not being able to walk around because they would stick to my feet because I had so much everywhere. And that's why I went to doing something like this where I could kind of scooch them around and look at them. I don't have very many in here, but I would go with a box top or something so that you can see your options, because you're going to want to play and, see different stuff. I don't know, envelopes would be great to just collect, but when you're actually doing the faces, you're going to want to play around with, you want to see your stuff. You're going to want to see what you can do. I mean, I can change any one of these faces in a million different ways, and love all of them. So, and you don't have to use whole lips or anything either. You can use half faces and half stuff, all that kind of stuff. Play around, have options. And it's fun to, yeah, I've got all these scanned. I could go through and, change them all and make them all different. I'm kind of tired of these guys. I guess that's why I'm doing another series. But that's what I'm hoping to do in this book is I want to play in here, but I need to get some more, excuse me, some more base faces down there so I can start playing with stuff and adding things to here. And I will come back when I get a little bit more stuff in here to play around with. And we can make some faces in here and the small one as well. I think the small one, it's kind of hard to see. No, maybe not. Maybe it would be all right. So that is Faces 101. Get options. Get a lot of pictures. Start playing around and see what happens. This one reminds me of a Muppet. She's a Muppet. I mean, you could do anything. They can change anything. So, and it's fun. Fun, 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 fun. I mean, I can spend hours doing this. And I have spent hours doing this. So I think that is it for now. I hope that helps a little bit for all those that are going to start making some funny faces. Yeah, you'll be cutting faces. You'll find magazines everywhere and want that one face in your doctor's office. Please, can I have this just one page? That is the neatest eye I've ever seen. and you never know either, you know, when you're going to find something. And then to go back and have all your options and to play with it, that's the fun part after you get your little bits together. So it's really easy to make these faces. I mean, just really easy to do different fun things. The eyes do not have to match. You know, they can be upside down. And it's fun. It's so much fun. I will laugh just doing these. So, yeah. Yeah. I need to get to my library and see if my library's not very good here. She's kind of cool. I think I have got one that's a Cyclops. I need to get to the library and see if what they do with their old magazines. I have plenty of faces. I really don't need faces. So I am going to leave with that. For some ideas, different ways to put faces together. Maybe I should do a flip here. Here's Cyclops. I mean, she does have an eye that's covered up by hair, but you really can't tell since I put her eye kind of there. And that's all it is a base face with one eye over the top of it, but it looks cool. So this one kind of reminds me of Madonna too. I don't know why. There's one where I think it was the exact same eye. I think it was two different magazines had the same advertisement in it, so I cut out that eye and I put one upside down and one right side. And it's interesting. Part of a nose. So there are different ways to do it. If you want to go through, there is a slideshow of these faces. This one is series 2 to give you some ideas how to put some faces together. It is only a slideshow, so I'm not talking through it at all. And you can pause the video and take a good look at how the pieces were put together. Well, you can actually pause this one too, since I'm kind of doing a flip here. And I love big smiles too. And have a place to put all your pages of magazines and stuff, because it gets a little out of control after a while. I've got pieces everywhere at this point. I need to work on these and get some of them glued down. Isn't that funny? A little tiny nose on this face. I like this one too, the sideways eyes. I don't do that very often, but it kind of worked with this one. The paper, this one is that watercolor technique that I showed a while back. I painted all these backgrounds as well. But you could put it on scrapbook paper or, you know, whatever. So, I love those eyes. Now this one is series 2. Series 1 is a little bit more simple. There's also a slideshow for series 1. So if you want to take a good close look and take your time looking at them, they're there. They're some of my earliest videos up. So if you go to the earliest videos, the first videos, I don't know how you can search for the videos that have been up the longest. They're on the bottom, so you don't have to scroll down through everything. But they're there. So I am going to get going and try to get my act together here today. So I hope to see you guys in the art experiments on Facebook. Love to see some of your faces. I'm sure you would inspire me to make more. Or anything else that you want to post. Art experiments is for everything, anything, experimenting with art, having fun and playing. So I'm going to end this. Thanks everybody for showing up. And if you have any questions, I will be streaming live again on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm always willing to talk about faces because I really like them. I enjoy faces a lot. And I will answer any questions then if you want to ask anything. Am I missing anything? Any questions before I go? Thanks, Crafty. Thanks, Eleanor, for being here. Jessica, Judy, Vicky. Wow, I got lots of people here. Sorry I didn't notice. Thanks so much. I'm going to stop the recording then if no one has any questions. Oh, hi, Caroline. Sorry. Yeah, I can't stay for very long. I got errands to run today. Fun. I wasn't expecting to do this, but I knew Vicky was going to go crazy if she wasn't able to start playing. If she had to wait the whole weekend to play, she was going to go nuts. I just know it. She needed some ideas of where to start. So I will be back on Tuesday. Thanks, everyone.